this world here, it's a beautiful day, ain't it? I mean, out in nature, you got waves and water and birds, clouds and all that sort of thing. It's a nice day. You know, I've been thinking, after my most recent apostrophe regarding the nature of the world that we men is making the women's live in, I decided to turn over a new tree. And I have gathered a lot of helpful hints for you fellas out there, so you guys can turn over your own tree as well. Now, I've seen recently where a lot of people are getting upset about the word man being in everything, like, manslaughter and mayonnaise and mankind and, that sort of thing. The word man seems to be everywhere, and a lot of them women's don't like it. But maybe it ain't because of the word man, Maybe it's because the word ain't often found in the places where maybe it should be the most. So here's me, doing yous all a little service for what I like to call putting the man back in manners. Now let me give yous all a little brush up on your history. Because way back, like 100 years ago, which is way longer than anybody a vampire been alive, the idea of a man was some grubby airy guy with a club running around beating women on the noggin and taking them as a prize. And sure, that was okay for a while. But then the broads got all, upset with all the headache medicine they had to take. And things changed. Then, the idea of a man was a snappy dress and a zoot suit with a Tommy gun on one arm and a fine dame on the other. Then there was the guys with the cigarettes rolled up in their sleeves and the hair and the frou-frous and whatever, and so on and so on and so forth. You get me? And if you look closely at history, you will see that each time that the idea of what a man should be changed, there was a bunch of women hollering like bloody murder behind him, making him do the changing. Now, I ain't getting on all the women for that, because let's face it, fellas, it takes a lot of hollering from the women's to get us to want to change our behavior so that the yelling stops. And boy howdy, is there a lot of yelling today. So maybe, fellas, we change and the yelling will stop. Compadre? Alright, history lesson is over. Now it's time for some manners by numbers. Number 1. Maybe tone down the sarcasm. There's a lot of guys that likes to use sarcasm. And a lot of women too. And there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes the sarcasm goes so far that it falls into the negging category. Kind of like when Uncle Dino has a little too much from the punch bowl and ends up in the swimming pool. Oh, and speaking of sarcasm, it used to be called that, but then they had to change it, because, everybody's always changing words and whatever. So now they call it hyperprobably. Pretty soon, we aren't going to have any words meaning the same things as it was meaning before. We'll probably call elephants like, gray snuffle blobs or whatever. It's ridiculous. But anyways, look, fellas, when you're talking to a lady, try to be less sarcastic, alright? If she's looking for a compliment, maybe, give her one. But something honest, and actually nice. It might just make a day, And speaking of compliments, number 2, it's called a compliment, not a creeplement. When you was giving out a compliment, don't get all Cousin Rico from prison, saying a lady's limbs look tasty, or you want to do some unmentionable thing to some unmentionable thing. That ain't a compliment, that's creepy. And don't be doing no, my eyes read Braille all over her. She got eyes, you numbskulls. Look at them when you're talking to her. I mean, picture you in a conversation, right? And the people keep on coming up and talking to you, but they're talking to your pants. I mean, that's kind of weird, right? And it gets a little annoying after a little while. I think, probably. And when you're complimenting a lady, don't lay it on thick, If she's got great hair, you can say, hey, you got great hair, or something like that. Like, one time or whatever. No repeats. Ladies don't want to hear you say the same thing over and over again. It's going to seem insincere, whatever. And don't follow it up with something creepy like, hey, my fridge has a lot of space. Oh, and here's another thing. Compliments about a lady's looks when she's a total stranger, not okay? I mean, like, there's a thing called body language. You guys should start to learn to read it, It's like a book, like an open book. It's not that hard, fellas. I mean, okay, maybe it is kind of difficult, but still, there's some very easy visual cues for you to pick up. Like, if a lady has her arms crossed and she's looking like she's drilling holes in your face, Probably she don't want to talk to you. Probably she don't want to hear a compliment. She just don't want to have none at all, alright? Headphones. They got headphones in public, they don't want to be bothered. They don't want you to come up and ask them what you're listening to. They don't want you to say, ask them for the number or whatever. They're listening to music. That is a sign of nature that nature has given us to recognize when a woman does not want to be disturbed. Also, she's got legs folded, like she's got a frowny face on. And I ain't talking about the resting face, whatever. I mean, just, in general. Learn to pick it up. In most cases, if you can't read body language, just do not go up to a woman that you don't know. Alright? I mean, just leave that chick alone in the first place. I know it seems like some weird, rusty, Cold War tactic or whatever, but trust me, you approaching a woman who don't know you is going to make her get all ready to kill Bill. And you is going to look like Bill to her. Number 3. Smiling is fine. Telling him to smile ain't. Smiling at a dame when you go by is fine, but you gotta be sure what kind of smile you're giving. I suggest you practice smiling in a mirror. See, a reserved smile and a nod like this, that's polite. I call that the lady killer. Well, maybe, probably I shouldn't, But if you were smirking or leering, that is completely different. You don't want that on your face. Simple rule when looking in the mirror. If you see Uncle Fester or Hannibal Lecter staring back at you, you're doing it wrong. Or your house is haunted and you better get the hell out of there. Or you're haunted and I don't know what to do about that. Number 4. Don't tell someone how to do something they's already doing. Look, fellas, don't you hate it when your neighbor comes over to your barbecue and they start telling you how to do all the barbecuing and how to flip the burgers and whatever? Or you're washing your car and some nosy Nancy comes over and tells you how you're doing it wrong. That's the kind of thing that makes a man boil in his briefs. You get me? Well, fellas, women is the same way. If you're riding a bus and there's a lady driver and she ain't hit nothing on the way while you've been riding all the time on the bus with her, the chances are pretty good that she don't need you telling her how to take the next corner. Or if she's cooking, or doing the laundry, or fixing a light, or, pretty much anything. If she looks like she's puzzled, or she asks you for help, that's something totally different. And if she's someone you know, again, don't do this to a stranger, that's ridiculous. Wait till she ain't doing the thing, and then you can politely ask her if she would like to know how you would do it. And if she don't, clam up. Number 5. Cavalry ain't dead, it's just for horses. Look, my bros, we gotta get with the times. And the Times says that being all gentlemanly, opening doors for women and carrying things and climbing up trestles with the flour in your teeth, all that stuff has gone by the wayside. Now wait, Romeo, I hear a bunch of you guys saying. Does that mean I can't open the door for a fine dame no more? Of course not, genius. But if he's gonna hold open the door for a lady so that yous can get a good look at her behind as she goes by, that ain't being gentlemanly. Approaching any situation with the idea in your head that they is too weak or too womanly or whatever, well, that's misogynistical, even if you don't mean it to be. So maybe you hold the door open for everyone, or you start carrying things for people who ain't a dame. Maybe you stop walking around like you're wearing shiny armor. Oh, and on that note, most women ain't looking for a knight in shining armor to come rescue them. They is looking for mutual respect, compassion, and treatment at them the same as you would treat anybody that you had respect for. And finally, for all you neckbeards out there, busy quoting your bad Shakespeare with all your froth and doff and dow and stuff, and telling everybody that you're wearing fedoras, it's a trilby. You're wearing the friggin' trilby. And you sound like a bad lip read in a Monty Python sketch. So stop it. Number 6. Consent is not an optional DLC. In this day and age, fellas, it ain't acceptable to do something and then get permission after. That whole easier to forgive and forget, or to get forgiven and then get permission or whatever, you know what I'm saying. That don't cut it no more. Especially when it's easier for your whole social life to be ruined and you to get thrown into pokey because you got all handsy. And this applies to all sorts of things. So, the best rule is, if you're thinking about doing something, anything that involves interacting with another physical person's being, get permission first. Even if it's as simple as brushing the dandruff off your lady's shoulder, ask first. And be polite about, both the asking and the response. If she don't want you to touch her, don't act like she just set your favorite comic collection on fire. And even if she gave you permission once, that don't mean it's a blanket invitation. Next time she may not want to be touched. So the next time you want to interact with her, you still got to do the asking. It's a polite thing to do. And then you don't need to forget me now. Oh, and if you see or hear any man claiming about how he's so awesome and so great a man, and he's such a badass because he don't ask for nothing and he just takes what he wants, that ain't a man. Maybe he needs a lesson in manners too. You get me? Because being a man ain't about using your privilege or your status to abuse other people. What do you think takes more of that chutzpah, as my acidic friends would say? Number 7. Only the nice guys is lonely, right? I can't even count the number of times that I heard some nice guy complaining about how, none of the nice women want him because he's such a nice guy, whatever. And, all they want to do is be treated like garbage by all the bad guys and the B words and whatever. Well, guess what, Mr. Nice Guy? Maybe that line of thinking ain't so nice. You feel me? Nice guys don't rag on women for not flocking to them like they was an NSYNC concert. And they don't go around doing things for women so that women will owe them. Light flash, fellas. No woman owes you for doing something that any decent person would do. And should do. So get that out of your heads. You want to be real nice guys? Do stuff without getting, anything in return. Just because it's nice. Do things because it's the right thing to do, If it's real and genuine, other people will notice that. Oh, and again, I cannot stress enough, learn to notice body language. Because it's really important, fellas. Go back to my previous, steps and review this whole thing again if you need to. A brief recap. Open body language. Stay as interested in talking or interacting or whatever. Closed body language. She would rather you make like a B and cross the road. Anxious body language. Stranger danger defense mode activated. In other words, genius, leave her alone. Now, if you listen to all these tips and behave responsibly, like a responsible adult and not a monkey on coke, you will successfully put the man back in manners and the women will appreciate you for it. Remember, when you stare into the abscess stares back into you. And I don't know about you, but I don't like no abscesses staring at me. It's creepy.